Picture this. You're about to marry into the most famous family on the planet. The cameras, the global attention, the power to influence millions. It's all right there, waiting for you. You've got it all figured out, right? You'll walk in, modernize everything, take control of the narrative, and become the star everyone's talking about. Sounds perfect? Nope, not even close. Because here's what actually happens. You show up, and within weeks, you realize something terrifying. You're not the main character here. You never were. And that institution you thought you'd reshape, it's been playing this game for 1,000 years. It doesn't lose. That's exactly what happened to Meghan Markle. And listen, according to Tom Bower, the investigative author who spent years digging into this whole mess, this wasn't just some personality clash or tabloid drama. This was Hollywood ambition crashing straight into a system that survived everything. Revolutions, scandals, centuries of people trying to change it. Before we get into this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss what's coming, and go ahead and smash that like button too. It helps more people find this. Because what we're about to uncover, it's not what you've been told. Families torn apart, hidden motivations, a #1 best-selling book that revealed what really went down behind those palace walls. Let's dive in. So let's talk about what Meghan expected when she showed up in London. Because according to Tom Bower, this is where the whole thing started going sideways. She walked into that palace thinking she'd be in control, not just of her own image, which, most celebrities want that, but control of everything, the narrative, the hierarchy, the entire operation. Get this. She genuinely couldn't wrap her head around why she wasn't more important, why she wasn't the one calling the shots. Now think about that for a second. This is the British monarchy we're talking about, an institution that's been around for over 1,000 years, and she's expecting to just, walk in and take charge? Reshape the whole thing in her image? Yeah, that's not how this works. Here's what Bower says. This is exactly why she ended up having issues with so many people inside those walls. It wasn't because they had some personal thing against her. It wasn't because they didn't like her vibe. It was way simpler than that. She didn't get how it all works. The royal family isn't Hollywood. It's not a movie set where the biggest name gets the best trailer and the most screen time. There's a structure that's been locked in for centuries. There are unwritten rules, and nobody and I mean nobody, gets to just flip the script because they feel like it. Diana couldn't do it, Fergie couldn't do it, and Meghan, she wasn't going to be the exception. But she wanted that top spot. She expected it. And when reality hit her, when she realized she'd never, ever have it, things went south fast. Now listen, Bower makes it clear she loved Harry. That part wasn't fake. But the status, the platform, the global reach that comes with being connected to the crown, that mattered too. Maybe more than anyone was ready to admit. Now here's where everything shifted. March 2021. Oprah, that interview. You remember it, right? The whole world watched. And Tom Bower, he was watching too. And get this, he wasn't planning on writing any book about Meghan before that moment. But after seeing what went down on that couch, he couldn't walk away from it. Here's what he says. What Meghan said in that interview and what Harry backed her up on didn't sit right with him at all. And his issue wasn't just that she went after the royal family, it was how she did it. And more importantly, Oprah just sat there and let it all happen. Didn't push back, didn't challenge a single thing, just nodded along. Bower thought it was scandalous. Unfair claims that went completely unchecked. So that's when he made his move. He needed to figure something out. What kind of person sits on global television and goes after one of the most famous families on earth like that? What's really happening behind the scenes that we're not seeing? That became his mission. And listen, Bower didn't just interview a couple people and wrap it up. He went all in. He talked to people who'd stayed quiet for years. He dug into parts of Meghan's life, her background, her relationships, her career moves. That the public knew nothing about. Stuff that never showed up in any tabloid or fluff piece. And when he connected all the dots, the story that came together was totally different from what Meghan had been putting out there. The book came out and boom, straight to #1. People ate it up, and you can bet Meghan's team was not happy about that success. So now we got to talk about who Meghan actually is. Because according to Bauer, this is the key to understanding everything. She's a Hollywood person through and through. And I don't mean that as a dig, I mean that's literally how she's wired. She came up in an industry where your image is everything, where controlling the narrative isn't just smart, it's how you survive. Where celebrity status directly equals money, opportunities, and power. And she's really good at this game, like really good. Bauer says she's completely focused on her image. That's not him exaggerating, it's what drives everything. Every move, every appearance, every statement, it's all thought out. Because in Hollywood, if you lose control of your story, someone else writes it for you, and that's not something Meghan was ever going to allow. Here's what's interesting. She's got a whole team around her. Talented people, hardworking people, and they get exactly how important Meghan Markle is. They're constantly watching what's being said about her, monitoring the press, tracking social media, making sure they stay on top of the conversation at all times. But wait, there's more. She's also got this whole network of supporters online who defend her. And look, this isn't some wild theory. Bauer straight up says she knows they're out there. These people show up whenever criticism starts flying. Now, it takes them about a week to catch up with what's being said. They're not instant. But once they're caught up, they come out swinging, defending Meghan, pushing back on anyone who questions her, making sure her side of the story stays front and center. It's like watching a well-oiled PR operation. Everything moving together to protect the brand. And when you're that used to managing every single detail, every story, every angle, walking into a place where that doesn't fly anymore, where there's an institution that's been running its own playbook for 1,000 years, that's a problem. So Meghan walks into the royal family with all this Hollywood experience, all this control over her brand, expecting things to work a certain way. And what does she actually find? The complete opposite. She thought she'd get the red carpet treatment, not just from the public that was already there, but from inside those palace walls, the royal family itself, the whole institution. She expected them to welcome her in, give her room to do her thing, let her have her moment. Yeah, that didn't happen. Instead, she walked straight into something that hasn't shifted in centuries. Protocols, hierarchy, rules that don't bend for anyone. And when I say anyone, I mean it. Diana couldn't change them. She was the people's princess, loved by millions across the globe, and even she couldn't flip the script on how things worked. Fergie gave it a shot too. Same outcome. The institution didn't move, not for them, not for anyone who walked through those doors before. And it definitely wasn't going to move for Meghan. Here's the reality she had to deal with. In the royal family, there's only one star. That's it. And everyone else, their whole purpose is to support the crown. You don't get your own spotlight. You don't get to be center stage. You're there to make the monarchy look good, to keep things running smooth, to back up whoever's got the crown on their head. Bauer says Meghan just couldn't get her head around this. She didn't understand why she wasn't in the spotlight, why she couldn't be up front, why all her ideas and her vision and her fresh take on things weren't getting embraced. And once it finally clicked, once she realized this was never going to change, not ever, she made her call. California started looking pretty good again. Think about it. Back home, she could control her own story. She could be the lead. She could build her brand without someone telling her she's third in line for public events. That freedom she'd walked away from suddenly seemed way more valuable than any royal title. So they packed up and left. And everyone figured that'd be it, right? Like, okay, they're out, they're doing their own thing in California. Maybe this whole thing settles down now. Not a chance. All right, so here's where this stops being just a family thing and turns into something the whole world can't stop watching. What started as Meghan feeling stuck in her role, that turned into a massive global spectacle. Every news outlet, every tabloid, every social media platform, everyone had an opinion, everyone picked a side. It wasn't just royal gossip anymore. It was this huge, never-ending drama playing out in real time for the entire planet to see. And the damage? Way deeper than anyone saw coming, the Windsor family split apart. Like, actually split. We're not talking about some little disagreement at Christmas dinner that blows over by New Year's. We're talking about real serious breaks that are still showing today. Brothers who don't talk. A father and son barely connecting. Family members stuck in the middle trying to figure out where they even stand. But here's what really got to people. Harry, Prince Harry, the guy everyone loved, the fun one, the one who seemed the most normal, the most relatable out of all of them. He went from being this beloved prince, the one people cheered for, the one who could do no wrong, to something totally different, cut off from his own family, publicly going back and forth with his own father, his own brother, the whole institution he grew up in. It was like watching someone completely change right in front of us. In Bauer's book, that's where everything comes together. He lays out the whole story in a way that makes sense of it all, the reasons behind the decisions, the moments where things could have gone another way but didn't. He calls it authoritative, and look, the fact that it shot to #1 tells you people were desperate for this side of things. Now here's where it gets messy, because not everyone in the family wants this thing to keep going. There are people, family members, who want to fix this, who think maybe there's still a way to patch things up, to bring Harry back in, to settle everything down and find some kind of peace. But then you've got the other side, the media jumping on every new detail, every fresh claim, every little back and forth. And some people wonder if that's exactly what's keeping this whole mess alive. If maybe all the focus on getting even is what's making any kind of peace impossible. Bauer's got something to say about that, by the way. He's upfront about where he stands. He says this isn't about getting even. This is about uncovering what actually happened, about understanding the real story and why things went down the way they did, about not letting certain claims just slide because they were said on Oprah with millions of people watching. But no matter what anyone's really after, whether it's truth or payback or peace, this whole situation brought up questions nobody's figured out how to answer yet. So after everything we've talked about, we're left with some pretty big questions. And honestly, nobody seems to have clear answers. First one, did Meghan genuinely not understand how deep all this tradition goes? Like, was she actually in the dark about what she was walking into? Or did she know exactly what the royal family was about and just figured she could flip it anyway? Because those are two totally different scenarios, right? If she didn't get it, then maybe this whole mess was just one huge misstep. She showed up with Hollywood expectations, ran into a wall she never saw coming, and everything fell apart because of that disconnect. Almost like she was bound to have a rough time from the start, just by not knowing the game she was playing. But if she did get it, if she understood exactly what the monarchy was and still thought she could bend it to fit her vision, then we're talking about something else entirely. That's not being in the dark. That's raw ambition, going head-to-head with something that won't budge. And when that happens, something's gotta break. Here's another one people keep bringing up. What if she'd just rolled with their way of doing things? What if she'd accepted being the supporting player, followed all the protocols, done it the way it's always been done? Would any of this have even happened? Would we be sitting here talking about her right now? Maybe she'd still be in London. Maybe the family wouldn't be broken up like this. Maybe Harry would still be the prince everyone cheered for. Or maybe things would have gone sideways eventually anyway. Maybe someone with her background, her whole approach to life, was never going to fit into that world no matter what she did. Maybe the problems were coming from day one, no matter how she played it. We don't know. And that's what makes this so tough to figure out. Now, Bauer's got his own take on all this. Remember how some people said he was just looking for payback? That he wrote this book to go after Meghan for leaving, or to stir up drama and cash in on it? He's pretty direct about shutting that down. He says his reason was simple. After watching that Oprah interview, he needed to understand what kind of person does something like that. What makes someone go on global television and say those things about the family they married into? And the only way to figure that out was to look at her whole story, the parts the public doesn't see, the reasons that never made the news. That's what the book does. It puts together reasons and patterns that most people never knew were there, details that help explain why things went the way they did. But even with all that laid out, even with Bauer tying everything together, we're still stuck with questions that don't have easy answers. Was Meghan someone stuck in a setup that couldn't handle her being more independent? Or was she someone who totally misread the situation and made choices that went wrong? Was the royal family too locked into their old ways? Or were they just protecting something that's lasted because it doesn't change? Truth is, it's probably not as simple as picking one side. Real life usually isn't. All right, so let's wrap this all up, because here's what we know for sure. Meghan Markle didn't get what she came for. She didn't become the most important royal in that setup. She didn't reshape the monarchy from the inside. She didn't get that spotlight she was expecting when she walked through those palace doors. But listen, she got something totally different, something that might actually be bigger. She became the most unforgettable figure to stir things up with the crown in decades. Love her or hate her, and trust me, people definitely land on both sides. You can't ignore her. You can't forget her. She's part of the modern royal story now, whether anyone wanted that or not. And here's what's interesting about that. Sometimes being controversial carries way more weight than any title could ever give you. A title puts you in a specific spot, gives you a role to play. But controversy, that makes you the topic everyone's talking about. It keeps people debating, picking sides years down the line. The royal family's different now because of what happened. That's just the reality. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing depends entirely on where you're standing. So here's where we're at. Is the monarchy actually starting to change because of what went down with Meghan? Are we watching something shift in this family that's been around forever? Or is this the beginning of cracks forming? Was Meghan someone who just didn't fit into how things work there? Someone who tried to do things her own way in a place that wasn't having it? Or was she someone who got it wrong from the start and made choices that stirred up a mess? There's no simple answer. And honestly, that's probably why people are still hooked on this story. It's messy, it's complicated, and depending on how you see things, you're going to view this whole situation completely differently. What we do know is this: it's not over, not even close. Meghan and Harry are still out there living their life in California. The royal family's still dealing with what happened. The media is still breaking down every move everyone makes. And people are still going back and forth about who was right and who wasn't. So what do you think? After hearing all this, where do you land? Is Meghan someone who got treated unfairly by a family that wasn't ready for her? Or is she the person who walked into something she didn't understand and caused a whole lot of problems? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I guarantee you opinions are everywhere on this one. And hey, if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button. The royal story keeps rolling, new updates, new drama, new chapters, and whatever this becomes. You're gonna want to be here for it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.